On today's video, I'm going to talk about this little known strategy called the delayed financing exemption and how I used it to buy 10 rental properties that I had no money into. When I got started in the real estate business, I was buying rental houses. I was a landlord, and I still am, although I buy larger apartment buildings now, and I also buy single family houses from time to time. And over the past few years, I bought over 800 single family houses and either wholesaled them or flipped them myself, and I've gotten my rental portfolio up to 10 single family rentals before offloading them. However, I bought all these houses and had no money into them, so no cash into my rental properties at all. I would refinance all my cash out, and I'm going to talk about how I did that. I didn't have to save up a ton of money. I didn't have to have a bunch of down payments or anything like that. I used something called the delayed financing exemption. And this is not a very well-known strategy, but everybody should be using it, you included. What you do need to have for this is you need to have some credit, you need to have income, and you need to be financeable. So you need to be able to get bank financing for these loans. And you can get up to 10 of these. Most people think you have to stop at 4, but you don't. And after that, you can go to portfolio lenders and things like that to get even more than that. But this kind of Fannie Mae loans, you can get 4 easily. After that, it's a little bit more challenging, but you can get up to 10, and it's really incredible to do. So what I did was I would buy these houses. So I would find a house, and it doesn't even have to be a house that needs to be fixed up a ton. It can be really nice houses. There's a couple of these houses that I bought that were brand new. I was buying brand new homes from the builder, and I was running my numbers and calculating it, and then I was buying them and I was putting tenants into them and renting them out. So what I found was I got in really good with the builders and the builders' realtors, and what I would do is I would say, hey, if you ever have a spec home is like a home that was just built for certain specifications, so they're not custom, right? And they're building them and they're putting them on the market. If they're ever sitting for a while, I'd be interested in making an offer on them. And what would happen is every single quarter, at the end of the quarter, these are publicly traded companies. One was D.R. Horton. I bought quite a few D.R. Horton houses. And they would email me and say, hey, we've got this inventory of houses and we need to sell some before the end of the quarter because it looks good on for their stock investors, right? For their board of directors and their reports for income. So they would reach out to me and say, I can give you this house at $30,000 off the list price or something like that. I would run the numbers through my calculator and say, what would it rent for? What can I buy it for? And does it make sense for my cash on cash return? And then what I would do is I would buy the house with cash, right? I'd buy the house with cash, and then I would do a cash out refinance using something called the delayed financing exemption. And I had a lender lined up already, and I got to the point where I was able to turn these houses. I was able to buy it, put a tenant in it, and refinance within about 2 months. And at one point, I got to the point where I could do it in 45 days. So I could actually close and get my money back out in 45 days. It was crazy. So wouldn't that be amazing if you could buy a house for cash and then put tenants in it and then get all of your money back in 45 days and go use it again and do it again and again and again. I got to the point where I was able to buy 3 houses in 1 year with just the same amount of money. So the one pool of money bought me 3 houses in a year. I got it all back. So that's a way that you can scale your rental portfolio very quickly. And that's usually the problem is people are saving up 20% or 25% for the down payment. And that's how I started. I would save up 20% for the down payment, buy a house. I would live in it and fix it up for like a year. Then I would move for the military and then I would rent it out. And then I would be saving up for the next one. It would take me like years to save up for the next house. And so this was a great strategy. Now, what you need to do is, number one, you need to raise private money. So you got to figure out how to raise money from other people. Those are friends, family, warm network. I do something called the 500K challenge. You can go to 500kchallenge.com. The link is in the description, and you can grab that training. It's a 30-day challenge that shows you step by step exactly how to raise money for your flips, for your wholesales, for your apartments, for your business, for stock investing, whatever you want to use it for. It just shows you how to raise capital. This is the biggest and most important thing is how to raise money for these deals. So what I would do is I would give a family member or friend or somebody like that, I would give them interest. So I'd be paying them interest, and what I would do is I would balloon the interest. So I'd write a note. Let's say I'm buying a house for $200,000. I would raise my $200,000 at 5 or 6% interest, and I would not pay it monthly. I would just say, look, I'll pay you at the end. Give me 6 months on this loan. I'll pay you all the interest that's due at the end, and then I would have no money out of pocket. So I'd buy the house for $200,000, put a tenant in there. I might need to fix it up a little bit. If I did, I might raise $210,000 or $220,000. I'd fix it up a little bit, and the house would be worth like $250 or $260, sometimes $300. I'd get a great deal. Put a tenant in there, rent it out, and I'd work my refinance. So the delayed financing exemption has to be refinanced inside of 6 months. So most of the time people think you need to season a property for 6 months or longer. Delayed financing exemption is less than 6 months. So what I would do is I would talk to the lender right when I identified the property. I'd say, hey, I've got a property coming up. I'm gonna wanna refinance this. Let's start doing my loan application and everything before I close on it, right? This is when I got really good. And then I'd close on the property, rent it out, and we'd push everything to the underwriter, and we'd start doing the loan for the cash out refinance. And so what I would have to do is I'd have to figure out how I would get to 75 to 80% loan to value on the house. So I'd have to buy equity. And that's what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. When the builder would reach out to me and say, hey, I can give you a discount of $30,000, $50,000 on the house if you can close quickly with cash, then I would say, okay, I would do it. And I would build in equity. So I'd have that $50,000 or $60,000 in equity, because when I did the appraisal afterwards, it would come back at full price that other people were paying. But since I was paying cash and I was moving fast, I was able to buy equity in the house. And that's what you've got to do for you to get all your money out. Now you can get some of your money out and maybe leave $5,000 or $10,000 in if you don't get a great deal and the numbers still work for you. That's great. But to get all your cash out, you've got to build in about 20 to 25% equity that you're buying, or you're fixing that house up to force appreciation in it, right? And then you are getting that on the future appraisal of the building, and you can pull out all of your cash. So I'd run my delayed financing exemption application through, it would get underwritten, and I would be able to refinance all that cash out. So I would get all my $200,000 out, and then I'd be able to pay back the lender their $200,000 plus interest for the time that I had it. And then I would have this house with basically no money into it and be cash flowing on it. And maybe the mortgage was $1,500 a month and I was renting it out for $2,300 a month. So I was making $800 on the difference. And on top of that, I was getting principal pay down, I was getting the appreciation, I was getting all the depreciation benefits, I was getting the income, and I was getting the leverage. Basically, amazing leverage, right? I had no money into the deal. I didn't even use my money to buy it in the first place. So I was able to recycle this I did 10 of these. I got to the point where I had 10 of these in my portfolio, and it was great. And I kind of got to the point where I was either gonna have to scale my single family or go move on to apartments and do other things, and I decided to go to a larger multifamily asset. However, this is a great way to scale your rental portfolio from the very beginning, or to just get that first deal. But look, to do this, you have to be able to qualify for a loan. So the difference between this and the other video that I made is if you don't have good credit and you don't have income, you're likely not gonna be able to qualify for the delayed financing exemption. And what I talked about before was having a cosigner. So you likely won't have a cosigner on this. You will want to build this while you have W-2 income, while you have great credit, before you become a massive entrepreneur like me. I'm not very bankable. It's very challenging. My tax returns show a loss every year. All of the things that I've been striving to do, I'm not very bankable anymore. If you're bankable, this is a great strategy to use in the very beginning. So I had a W-2 job. I was flying airplanes for the Navy, and I had great W-2 income. I had great credit in the 800s, and it was just a great match for me to get started in my rental journey and my real estate journey this way. And for you too, you got to figure out how to raise money, how to find deals. That's the key. It's the key to real estate, and we have that right here on this channel. So I'm gonna be doing some more videos like this. If you guys like this, leave a comment and let me know what else you wanna see, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.